Stop. Put the lightsaber down. Step away from the shopping cart. Don't click on pay. Not until you've seen this. So what's this all about? I mean, we've all been there, right? You're excited that chapter 16 you've been waiting for is right in your cart. You're just getting ready to click on go, and you're going to go out and dueling with that. Maybe that's not such a good idea. Or maybe you've got that great dueling saber that you've been playing around with your kid brother or your son or your daughter or your wife or your husband with, and now you want to put it on display. It's just not quite right because you've seen some better ones. One of the first things you need to do is to define what it is you're looking for. So what do I mean by that? You need to define what it is that your goals are with sabers. I mean, sabers are really cool. They're a lot of fun. I love collecting sabers and then doing some weathering, like this stainless steel from SP, weathering on one side, not on the other one yet, putting heat stains on it.
Is it possible to learn this power?
I mean, that's what I'm about. I like having the collection. You know, ultimately, I want to have the collection of all the canon hilts and even some others. But that's not everybody. That's some people. And to a lot of people, they're going to look at a collection and go, wow, I want to have a collection just like that. But really, it's not for everybody. You have to decide, what are your goals? So there's canon hilts. Canon hilts are the ones that you've actually seen in the films that are in official storyline from Star Wars that belong to characters, not so much in the lore and some of the awesome characters that you see out there in the graphic novels that are coming out. Do you want those? Do you want something that you can look at and point at and discuss how every nook and cranny and bit of wear and tear happened? I mean, maybe you're going to have a gaming party and you're going to be able to tell your friends how Joe T'Pol's saber turned into this guy. Maybe your goal is to do a little playing. You're at the convention and you feel like being Obi-Wan.
So uncivilized.
So, what kind of lightsabers do we have out there? A base lit hilt is really kind of an expensive flashlight. I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say that, but it's true. It's a LED that shoots up through a hollow tube and makes a sound. Now, obviously, because it's shooting through a hollow tube, the light fades as it gets toward the end. However, because the motion sensing is on the sound card that's contained within the hilt, as you swing it around, that smooth swing, that vroom, vroom as it goes, and hitting and so on, all of that is still going to play into your dueling or your swinging. The difference, though, is that when the blade hits something, it's not really going to break anything except possibly put a crack in your hollow tube. But a NeoPixel is an entirely different animal. It's the same card that's on the inside. The sounds are going to be the same, the swinging sounds and so on. The difference is going to be is that this one, which has the PCB here at the end, connects to a whole bunch of LEDs or pixels in here. They range between about 200 to almost 700 pixels coming through. They can get very bright. But the benefit of that, even though they're fragile, is that as you swing them, the motion that you make and the actions that happen, such as hitting things, clashing with somebody else, blocking blasters, or force lightning, is that those lighting effects are going to be here, pretty much just like what you see in the movies. Do you need that for every hilt? No, not really. Depends again on what your use is. I would recommend baselit for people who are going to be spinning, people who are going to be hitting other people with it, or trees or rocks for that matter, and NeoPixel for just about everything else. Well, most of these are NeoPixel. In fact, all of these now are. So then the question is, okay, so I want to collect, or maybe I want to duel, or maybe I want to spin. Spinning is awesome and looks fantastic. Maybe you're part of a group that does reenactment, like the 501st. Or it could just be that you want to have a quiet duel with your friend, with your loved one, with your kids or your spouse. Or, if you're like me, you want to develop a collection of really accurate hilts. All of these things are great, completely okay. You just need to define what it is for you that you want to do before you go purchasing a lightsaber. I mean, they're really cool. They're a lot of fun and they can draw you in for that sale. And speaking of sales, now that I know what it is I want to do, where do I buy it from? So there are a lot of options. There's drop shippers and resellers, there's manufacturers and completely custom shops. Who do I buy from? Why is this one priced differently than this one for the same hilt? So let's go over them. Drop shippers. What do drop shippers do? If you wanted to order this Mace Windu from, say, TXQ or LGT, this one happens to not be one of those, but let's just say that it was. You would purchase it from me, the drop shipper. I would receive your order and say, oh, okay. And then I'll order it from the company that sells it. I'll get it cheaper. I get it. Maybe, maybe not. I'll put it into a nice shiny box, some kind of benefit out of it, something to make it mine, so to speak. And then I'll send it to you with a markup. Markups. Markups can be pretty small sometimes or pretty big. So what do I get for my extra money? Well, like I said, boxes and gloves, a stand, chargers, little manuals, fairly nice hard cases, and blades. Those are all great. And generally speaking, when you purchase from the companies overseas, you'll get just the hilt shipped to you, and you kind of have to figure things out on your own. Not always, but generally. Huh. So what's a reseller? I'm really glad you asked. Reselling is when, let's say you wanted to buy a Star Killer like this one. Well, you look online, you find the best price that you can, and you order it from that company. A drop shipper, as we discussed, would order it directly and it would come to them or come directly to you. A reseller probably has this hilt on hand in their own inventory, which cuts down on the shipping time for you. The reseller will take it. They'll fix it, or they'll send it out to somebody who can. And in the end, you'll get your hilt back. Hey! Then there are the custom shops. This really opens up some interesting information. I can highly recommend Saber Trio to you, for example. Now with Saber Trio, you'll never see a Canon hilt, but you will get a hilt that is really high quality, makes great sounds, and looks generally like it's in the universe of Star Wars. Then there's some places like DC Sabers. This is an example of DC Sabers. They make custom hilts, again, not appearing necessarily in canon films or series or even lore, but generally with that overall look. It's got all kinds of cool stuff on it, but it's not a canon. But again, it's high quality, makes good noise, makes good sound coming out of it, and looks really great. You could even add it into your collection. There you go. Now there's the high-end sabersmiths. Now in these cases, you're looking for companies like Shadowfoil, SP Sabers, and Corbanth. And don't forget KR Sabers. These companies make high-quality, top-tier sabers that are usually very, very accurate. In fact, there's battles between them about which one is more accurate. Sometimes that accuracy difference is measured in millimeters. You may or may not even notice, but it all makes sense if you're looking for accuracy. Accuracy? Well, sure. Like the emitter having a clean iron inside and weathering on the outside. It's a minor detail, but it's accurate.
I have spoken.
This is rather an awesome Anakin hilt made by Shadowfoil props. And there's the rub. Is it really made by Shadowfoil props or is it designed by them? Well, in most cases, it's designed by them. Now this one I purchased at Corbanth. However, KR Sabers uses the same manufacturer to make theirs as Corbanth did to make this one. And in that case, it's Elf Sabers. Elf Sabers. Others? Well, let's take, for example, the Ogdo Killer. In this case, Denis Lukanov designed it, and other companies sold it and manufactured it. Small, upscale, really good companies. KR Sabers. KR Sabers manufactured this one. Did they build this or did they design it? Well, point of fact, they designed it. Others built it for them. And this is the way in most cases it goes. I know with DC Sabers, they actually do the manufacturing, at least some of the manufacturing themselves, but others do the incredible design work. Like the design work it took to make this ray, this is also done by KR Sabers. Now, you'll see this and you'll say, wow, Lots of people make these. Sort of. What people are making are some that look similar to this. Most of them have either this completely open, like this, for a blade to be put in all the time, or they'll have one that's open and one emitter that's closed. But in this case, their design team were able to come up with an incredible opening end of this. Can you duel with it? No, but it is pretty awesome. Shadowfoil is another example. They produced this Balin skull. They actually produced this one, which is the Fallen Master, and one that came on after this with a couple of small design changes, actually more about the finish, called the Visionary Master. Now, both Shadowfoil and KR make this saber, or I should say versions of it. Very, very subtle differences between the two. One is obviously more accurate, at least in some areas, than the other. I don't know yet because I haven't compared directly to see if either one of them beats the other one. Um, in some cases, they beat them in some areas, and other times the other company beats them in other areas. But the nice thing about that sort of competition from these incredible sabersmiths is that we get to have very, very accurate screen hilts. Look at this thing. Lastly, we're going to go to our one-offs. These are guys who hand build everything from beginning to end, and every one of them is a little bit different than the one before. I mean, to some extent, it could be true for DC Sabers, but we're talking some incredible designs, not canon again, but really intricate designs, and you can expect to pay thousands for them. Is it worth it? Sure, if that's what you're looking for to have. And that's really the key of this whole thing, isn't it? Yes, it is. Ow! Ow! Do you want something that you can display on the wall that is really screen accurate? And when you watch that film or that series, you can pull it out and look and compare. It's actually kind of fun to do. Or play a game and look at the characters' hilts that are in there. I'm in my who knows how many times through Fallen Order, and I love having this hilt. And even while I'm playing it, looking up at it, the beauty and the exactness of it. And that kind of brings us back to where we started. What is it you want to do? Do you want to bash? Do you want to cosplay? Well, there's some questions you got to ask. If you're cosplaying, now you're looking for reasonable accuracy, but the ability to duel, because let's face it, you're going to want to duel. If you're looking for a display, dueling isn't necessarily what you want. I mean, it's fun to be able to light it off, swing it around, but mainly it's going to sit on the shelf and you're just going to admire it. Maybe you're even going to sell them to somebody else later as an investment. So if you're bashing about, what you really want is something that's just made kind of strong. The blade sits low in, that's an important one. And how many points of tension are going to be on the blade? Ideally, you're looking at three. 1, 2, 3. To be able to hold that blade in, the blade doesn't go falling off or flying out as you swing it around. Now let's see. We've covered what are my goals, collections, dueling, cosplay, hello, I'm Ahsoka Tano, and spinning. Are there other avenues? Absolutely. You can even get into a business side of things, or you maybe even make content. But before you do anything, figure out who you are, what you want to do, and then what sort of hilt that you need. Maybe you don't need the expensive one. Maybe you should not buy the lesser expensive one and actually spend a little bit more and get a really good one. And that brings me to my last point. What about empties? I've heard a lot about those, or maybe you even haven't yet. Okay, so what are empties? KR, Corbanth, Shadowfoil, several SP, many companies, Jawa's Junkyard, Watto's Junkyard, they all make really great sabers, and they often give you the choice between empty or installed. Installed means that you're going to be able to press a button and things are going to happen. This one is empty. Hello! Nothing there. The nice part about an empty is, one, it'll look fantastic on your collection. You could even practice spinning with it because you're not really going to damage much of anything except for maybe dropping the hilt itself. But then you can also find somebody to install it. What's an installation? That's a really good question. It's the difference between one that just looks good on the shelf and one that does stuff. The nice thing about choosing your own installer is, let's take for example 89 Sabers, which is kind of a mid-level between the more budget-friendly as compared to Watto's Junkyard or KR or Shadowfoil or Corbanth. You can take their installation, or you can take the empty and find an installer that you like and that you can request very specific things on. Now, some of these companies will install it with your special requests in mind. I want a louder speaker. I want a fancy chassis. These are specifics that you can get into with your installer, and depending on who they are, they can even custom create a chassis for you. Now, the chassis is kind of a sled that you put all your electronics into that you then insert into the hilt, and now you have a functioning hilt.
Use the Force, Luke.
There is a lot to discover and to look into when you're buying a saber. It's not just because it looks pretty. Compare it. Maybe if you want accuracy, you'll find this one versus that one, and maybe that one has something that you like and that one doesn't. And even if accuracy isn't important to you, you're still going to want to get one if it's a Canon that looks as close as you can to the Canon. So know what you want to do, know what you're going to be happy with later on. If you're going to collect for the sake of collection and accuracy is really important, don't skimp.
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Get the one that you want, not the one that's closest to it because it's a better price. Save your money longer, buy the good one. Now, I've said a lot about things like TXQ. TXQ makes some pretty good hilts. I mean, they're sturdy, they're tough, and they look pretty much like the other ones. There is nothing wrong with a good TXQ or an LGT Nexus. They look a lot like the character you're looking at if you're talking about Canon hilts. And they'll be good enough that somebody can point at it and say, hey, that's a Luke, or hey, that's a Cal. And that's really what you want. And you want to swing it around. You want to have some fun with it. If you drop it, if it breaks, it doesn't break the bank. The budget-friendly sabers are fine. That said, and I'll be doing a video on this later, I think this TXQ, the crossguard, is actually closer to the size that's represented in the game than the ones made by some other more expensive companies. Of course, I had this one done up a little bit better. So I hope this helps. So whether you're dueling or collecting or spinning or cosplay or any of the other options that are out there, just know what it is that you're going to do with it and then base your budget and your decision on that. Now, if you do have any questions, please leave comments below. I will get back to you and I can answer them. Happy to help. I hope this helps you. And remember, your focus determines your reality. This is Kitty Dad Kenobi. May the Force be with you.